The FBI has a new grave warning for Americans about attacks on U.S. soil. I'll give you the details of that here in this video. Also, President Biden meets with Chinese President Xi today. Give you the details here on that as well. Also, a bill passes the House, but more needs to happen. That and more in this video. Let's jump right in. If you appreciate these updates, thank you so much for hitting the like button. And if you haven't yet, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on new videos that come out here every day at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Here we go. The Republicans pass a bill in the House of Representatives to avoid a government shutdown. It is only a CR, a continuing resolution to basically continuing funding. Not much actually gets done by the way of this. Also, the Senate still needs to pass this. The vote was 336 to 95. Interestingly, 93 Republicans voted against it out of the 95 people who voted against it. More Republicans voted against it than the last government funding bill in September. And remember here that the main reason they started the movement to kick out their former speaker, Kevin McCarthy, was because he passed a CR, a continuing resolution. And now their new speaker, their leader of the Republicans in the House, Mike Johnson, has now done the exact same thing. You guys can let me know your thoughts on that here in the comments. President Biden meets with Chinese President Xi here today for the first time in a year, over a year. Take a listen here.
Good afternoon. We're coming on the air for a short time here because of this high-stakes summit between President Biden and China's President Xi about to get underway. The two leaders coming face-to-face just outside San Francisco. This will be their first in-person talks in more than a year. You can see the motorcade carrying President Xi pulling up there outside San Francisco. This is being called the Woodside Summit by the White House. Let's watch here.
Doors, ready, pop.
And there he is, President Xi of China. The two leaders have known each other for decades. And President Biden, of course, greeting him. Today's meeting expected to last more than 4 hours. President Biden, of course, hoping to rebuild this strained relationship between the U.S. and China amid mounting tensions and deep mistrust between the countries. Both leaders, quite frankly, need this. The White House hoping to reestablish lines of military communication with China. Among the many issues on the table today as they wave there to the cameras and turn now walking into the estate, they'll be discussing the economic competition between the world's two largest economies. Also, the U.S. has growing concerns over China's military aggression targeting Taiwan, while China wants to ensure the U.S. will not support Taiwan's independence. Of course, there are also two major conflicts to address: Israel's war against Hamas, China's ties to Iran in this, along with the war in Ukraine and President Xi's recent meeting with Vladimir Putin.
Quite frankly, there's a lot of concerns. China supporting Russia. One of the other major concerns is China's manufacturing of fentanyl, and a lot of it that gets shipped into the United States one way or another. President Biden will be addressing that. The question here is, will China actually stop this? One of the other issues that has been previously addressed to the Chinese president is China's hacking of the United States and the United States infrastructure, military, and all sorts of things. The Chinese president said that he would look into this, stop this, tone it down, etc. And after, it actually increased. Yeah, so it's kind of like having a meeting with Russia, and then Russia actually goes and does the opposite. Like when Russia said they weren't going to invade Ukraine, and then days later, they invaded Ukraine. However, we have a very high economic partnership with China. China actually is the #1 trade partner with the United States. Just the insane amount of things that are actually manufactured in China and come to the United States. Your phones, your computers, your electronics. Go down the aisle of Walmart, CVS, anything. It's a lot. That's a lot. If there's ever a massive world war and the United States actually cut off everything from China, it would be a shock to our ecosystem. And I know everybody wants everything made in the United States, but if everything was made in the United States, the prices of everything would just literally shoot up like 50, 75, 100%, which would mean double the price. In fact, that probably wouldn't happen because we just don't have enough manufacturing here. What would probably happen, and we've actually seen some of this, companies like Apple have actually gone to manufacturing in other countries beside China, but the problem is it's only like 5 or 10% of their manufacturing. So large companies like Apple are trying to spread out, and because of the political risk that China imposes, the problem is getting enough manufacturing in other countries besides China. And let me know your thoughts here in the comments. The FBI director Christopher Wray, he's actually a Republican. He was actually appointed by former President Donald Trump and kept in place by President Biden, says the terror groups inspired to attack the United States due to the war in Middle East. He now has a new warning for the United States and for Americans. Take a listen to what he had to say here today as he testified at a House Homeland Security meeting along with U.S. Border Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas. Take a listen here.
Hill, where FBI Director Christopher Wray and Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas are testifying right now at a House hearing on worldwide threats to the U.S. And so far, as you'd expect, they are largely facing questions about the threats related to the Israel-Hamas war. Let's bring in NBC News Justice and Intelligence correspondent Ken Delanian and founder of the National Security Institute and former senior counsel to the House Intelligence Committee, Jamil Jaffer. Ken, start us off. What are we hearing right now in this hearing?
Good morning, Anna. FBI Director Chris Wray is warning this morning that the terror threat against Americans is elevated. And he said the war in the Middle East has raised the threat in the United States to a whole other level, his words. Since the October 7th Hamas attack on Israel, he said the FBI has seen what he called a rogues gallery of foreign terrorist organizations calling for attacks against Americans and our allies, including al-Qaeda, ISIS, and Hezbollah, and they're flooding social media with violent propaganda. Here's more from FBI Director Chris Wray.
Our most immediate concern is that individuals or small groups will draw twisted inspiration from the events in the Middle East to carry out attacks here at home. That includes homegrown violent extremists inspired by a foreign terrorist organization and domestic violent extremists targeting Jewish Americans or other faith communities like Muslim Americans.
So if you listen carefully there, and it's important to point this out, the FBI is saying it's not aware of a credible threat of attack right now from a terrorist group, but it's instead saying that the heightened tensions and rhetoric online make it more likely that a lone extremist will resort to violence.
In fact, we're seeing all these protests on college campuses and all sorts of places here in the United States and other countries. 3 Jewish students sue NYU, claiming the college failed to protect them from anti-Semitism. The lawsuit was filed by 3 NYU juniors in Manhattan federal court here on Tuesday, alleging the school has failed to protect them from escalating anti-Semitism, which they say has worsened since the start of the Israel-Hamas war on October 7th. The lawsuit, which was filed Tuesday in Manhattan federal court by these 3 NYU juniors, invokes Title VI of the 1964 Civil Rights Act, which prohibits discrimination based on race, color, or national origins. And really, these college campuses have not been doing very much to little to nothing, depending on the colleges. Some have been doing some. We've seen some suspensions, depending on the colleges, but a lot of them have been doing nothing. The age-old virus of anti-Semitism is alive and well at New York University, their lawsuit states. This case arises from NYU's egregious civil rights violations that have created a hostile educational environment in which plaintiffs and other Jewish NYU students have been subjected to pervasive acts of hatred, discrimination, harassment, and intimidation. The students claim the anti-Semitic behavior at the university has been ongoing, and they allege NYU has shown, at best, deliberate indifference. The students claim in the lawsuit that the school has fostered an environment which students and faculty members are permitted to repeatedly abuse, malign, vilify, and threaten Jewish students with impunity. You guys can let me know your thoughts on this. Also, a crazy story that's just happening here. A Massachusetts town has approved a permit to fly a Palestinian flag on their public flagpole. The Palestinian flag will fly in the town common until December 7th. This is absolutely crazy. Let me know your thoughts on this. The town of North Andover, Massachusetts official approved a permit Monday allowing a Palestinian flag to be flown on the North Andover town common. Reported that the Palestinian flag, black, white, red, and green, was raised Tuesday morning and will remain in place December 7th. Residents attended a board meeting Monday night that has to be rescheduled because of reported threats of litigation and well as public safety concern, both in favor and of opposition of the flag being on display. Although some citizens expressed their concerns, saying, quote, "The town was a coward. I don't believe the flag should have been raised because today it is a symbol of hatred and anti-Semitism and a symbol of Hamas who attacked Israel. Some people needed to be removed from the room," he said, "and at times people chanted things like, 'From the river to the sea,' which is a slogan that Hamas uses about exterminating Israel and eliminating them from the river to the sea. It means exterminating Israel completely and getting rid of them. And Hamas has said over and over that they want to repeat October 7th attacks repeatedly over and over and over, and they want to continue this until they eliminate them from the river to the sea. So you guys can let me know your thoughts here in the comments. And now we have these warnings, these threats, and the FBI director has warned Americans yet again on this. So you guys can let me know your thoughts here in the comments. I will keep you up to date here. New videos come out here on our YouTube channel every day at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So make sure to subscribe down below. Click the button. It's completely free to do so. Click the bell icon afterwards so you get notifications. Also, thanks so much for liking and sharing these videos. Click here to watch my newest video next. Thanks for watching, guys, and I will see you in the next video.